Today, we're breaking down 7 red flags in the controversial union between Joni Lamb and Doug Weiss. Let's get into it. Red flag number 1, divorce timing that raises questions. In January 2022, Doug Weiss filed for divorce from his wife, Lisa Weiss, and the split was finalized by May. The timing raised eyebrows just 2 months earlier. Joni Lamb had lost her husband of over 40 years, Marcus Lamb. While Joni was in the depths of mourning, Doug's decision to walk away from his own marriage seemed abrupt. Was this purely coincidence, or had something already been developing between Doug and Joni?
February 8th is when Doug announces his divorce from Lisa Weiss. Okay, remember, she got divorced, and I've got the documentation. Lisa and Doug divorced on May 31st. He's announcing it on February 8th, 2023.
Red flag number 2, a concerning lack of transparency. Doug Weiss, a well-known marriage counselor and sex therapist, finalized his divorce in May 2022, but didn't inform his clients until February 2023, nearly a year later. Even more striking, the disclosure came just 2 days before Joni Lamb publicly announced their relationship. For someone in a field grounded in trust and openness, the decision to keep such a significant personal event hidden for so long raises serious questions. Why the secrecy?
I'm guessing the people that are going to him as a marriage counselor, do they even know this whole time that he's divorced?
They don't, and that's what I had a big problem with, is that there was that deception. He counseled patients at his counseling center under the guise that he had a great marriage, and so that's deceptive. I mean, if you're going through a divorce, I think you should disclose that to your patients.
And then, as I understand it, just a few days later, on February 10, 2023, Joni announces her engagement. So he's announcing on February 8th that he just got divorced. She's announcing 2 days later that she's engaged.
And that's what's so crazy is, I think that's the only reason he did it then is because he realized Joni's about to announce her engagement, but he hasn't even disclosed to any of his employees that he's even divorced. So it's almost like he was forced to do it. He waited to the last possible moment before he did.
Red flag number 3, disregarding trusted advice. Despite repeated warnings from people close to her, Joni Lamb chose to move forward with her relationship with Doug Weiss. Those who voiced concerns included her adult children, Jonathan, Rachel, and Rebecca Lamb, their spouses, longtime family friend and counselor Denise Boggs, numerous pastors, and even members of her Daystar audience. Collectively, they questioned Doug's motives for his divorce and his overall suitability as a partner. Ignoring such a broad base of wise counsel raised serious concerns about the decision-making behind the relationship.
I have spoken with many pastors and said, it's our responsibility. It's our responsibility as pastors. It's your responsibility. If you love Joni, to speak into this if you are not in favor of it. And several of them said, well, we're not. At one time, I was even given a whole list by someone in the family of all the ones that were not in favor of the wedding and the marriage. And I talked to a couple of them and I said, well, because we're to care for the widows, care for them. That's a vulnerable time for them. And if you care for them and you don't feel like this is of the Lord, that this is being jumped into too prematurely, then speak straight to her. Speak the truth to her in love. Let her know that. And so I do know of one that spoke the truth. I do know of one leader that was willing to speak the truth of how he felt about it. And he spoke straight directly to Joni.
To say there's probably a couple of leaders or more that actually, may have said something. And I'm not sure how that was received by Joni. Do you have any understanding of that?
No, apparently it wasn't well received. And so she just wanted people around her that would support her. And so, so it was not well received. And I'm sure that's why many of the others did not speak into it.
Was there anybody else at the company, in the ministry? And you guys have so many different ministers that come on and shout to you or back you guys up and been like, yeah, that's kind of like, and give her the warning as well.
Oh yeah,
Secretly.
Pastor Rodney Howard Brown is very clear.
I love Pastor
He
Brown.
was very clear. He came as a guest after my mom was engaged, but before they got married. No, but he was one of the ones that like put the fear of God into us, because he clearly came to Daystar in February of 2022. And February 2023, and he told us this is wrong. Like, your mother would be living in sin if she moves forward with this relationship, and I won't come back as long as he's married to her.
And he said that. Did he say that to her? And we don't have to bring up anybody else.
Well, he said that to Susie and Rebecca.
Okay.
I was out that day. My mother was out traveling that day. But he made it clear to them.
We had a show ministry. It was the most powerful. He was walking out of the studio. People were falling, like just dropping like flies. The presence of God was so strong. He's a man of conviction, and he shared his heart with us because we genuinely needed counsel.
Yeah.
But again, for everyone who disagreed, everyone's respectful. They're like, this is her choice. So
let's just finish up on Rodney. So he also told us that my dad had a conversation with him on the golf course, and he talked about how Doug had put my dad through the proverbial ringer after the time he had the affair, because they went to Doug Weiss for counseling. And so again, we were just uneasy about the fact that here this man is who knows all these insider information about my mom and dad's relationship, and now he's pursuing a relationship.
So there's people that probably did give her the warning.
Definitely in the minority.
Many pastors called us, but they don't.
I'd say like 95% of pastors are saying, I just don't want to be involved with it.
Red flag number 4, biased guidance from Pastor Jimmy Evans. Despite being a key mentor to Joni and Doug, Pastor Jimmy Evans declined to speak with Lisa Weiss or consider her perspective. His refusal to hear both sides raises serious concerns about fairness and balance in his role as a counselor.
Because for all you know, Doug could have just told you half-truths or one side of the story.
Well, Jonathan, I have a lot of experience, I have a lot of discernment. I could have, in talking to Doug and also with Joni, I could have discerned if he was lying in 5 minutes because I know how to talk to him. And when he said to me, when we were talking and I asked him question after question after question after question, he answered every question exactly, and he never dishonored Lisa. Never threw under the bus.
But he's a pro. He's like the best of the best when it comes to like dealing with people.
You've dehumanized him.
He would know what to say,
I'm an object in this world.
He's
the world you guys created. Doug's an object. He's not a soul. He's not a brother in Christ. He's not forgiven. He's not the righteousness of Christ. He's an object.
That's Doug.
So you have dehumanized him. He's a professional. He knew what he was doing and seducing a grieving widow and all this stuff. What I'm saying is, as a human, I'm talking to Doug on the phone and I'm asking questions, and he's answering every single question the way I've heard it answered over and over and over by someone who's been abused over a long period of time. And so number one. Number two is I talk to people and I ask questions, because I'm not going to tell you who I talked to, but I asked questions and I got the answers about what was happening in their relationship. And I met Lisa a couple of times. And so I was satisfied because of the conversations that I had with her and him and others. That in having a conversation with Lisa, because we talked about this for 1 minute the other day, that Rachel was asking, I know what Lisa would have said, and what it would have done is exactly what Doug said. It would have slowed it down 6 months. And I don't care. The great thing about being my age is I just don't care. I've got a good quality of life. You can trust my experience and my judgment, or you can't. I'm not going to sell myself, and I'm not going to defend myself. The only thing I'm going to say is this is not the first time or the 30th time I've done this.
Of course, Jimmy, and I know that talking to Lisa could have slowed it down 6 months, but would that have been a bad thing when we're all questioning every single? No, I know, but
that's their concern. They're desperate.
Every son and daughter.
The conversation we just had was about adult children in a remarriage when there's been a death, and I'm saying I give you grace for your emotions and what you're feeling, but I'm not going through what you're going through, and I've got the experience. I'm saying you can trust and you can submit, or you can keep going through this wrangling, and that's all it is.
We need to process this out.
I'm not going to talk to Lisa. I didn't talk to Lisa, and I'm not going to defend myself on that.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, would it be the worst thing if it slowed down 6 months if every single offspring of these two individuals is questioning the validity of this marriage?
Your view is different.
No.
It's not going to change the Bible verses you quote.
No.
It's not going to change anything.
No, but
presented today.
again, what if there is a spark of hope that Lisa could get back with you. Wouldn't that be the best solution in the end?
Jimmy said he believed Doug's version of events that Lisa had abandoned the marriage. But according to Denise Boggs, who worked closely with Lisa in counseling, Lisa was committed to reconciling and rebuilding the relationship.
Jimmy Evans says there was abandonment. He has full grounds for divorce. So I'm just wondering, in your conversation with Jimmy Evans, what did you share with him?
I did not have a conversation with Jimmy Evans. He didn't call me to ask me anything about Lisa. So I didn't have a conversation with him.
So he probably spoke with Lisa, I'm imagining. To your knowledge, did he meet with Lisa?
To my knowledge, she never told me, when I had conversation with her, that she had talked to Jimmy Evans. Now, I'm not sure on that, but I haven't been told that. So,
yeah. Let me ask you this, Miss Denise. Would it be your determination that after meeting so intimately with all the parties, that your determination would be that abandonment has been adequate grounds for divorce between Doug and Lisa?
I'm just sitting here recalling my time with Lisa. So, no, I guess that must have been a term, to be honest with you, that was given to it at a later time, maybe, to come up with, everybody's trying to figure out what happened to a 30-year marriage who's had a ministry together. They work together to heal and restore marriages. And so I guess maybe that's the term they came up with, of what went wrong. But that was not, I did not work with them at all based on abandonment. No, I didn't.
Despite Jonathan and Susie Lamb presenting clear evidence of Lisa's intent to reconcile, Jimmy disregarded their testimony entirely.
Moment for me when I truly realized that this is not the God I serve is not here is the day that Joni came over. It was Jonathan, me, and JW. We were about to watch the Cowboys game, and Joni was angry and said, Doug is in Colorado, and his ex-wife, had been begging him all day to reconcile and to choose her, and then Joni was like, "It makes me want him more. Shows me what a great husband he'll be." Yeah.
Red flag number 5, Doug's career aspiration. Doug Weiss had long voiced his ambition to host a television show on Daystar. His marriage to Joni Lamb, the network's owner, would undeniably open doors to that opportunity. This raises a valid concern. Was the relationship truly about love, or was it influenced by professional ambition?
Yeah, I believe he would know exactly what to say and what to do, to accomplish his means, which I believe is capturing the ultimate prize, which is my mother. The other troubling thing was that Doug had been appearing on Daystar as a guest for well over a decade, probably multiple times a year. So he'd had well over 20 appearances on Daystar over the past decade. So he knew about Daystar, he knew about the platform, he knew what it had to offer, and he was on record stating that he had always wanted a television ministry. And so, ironically, he says the reason he actually started conversating with my mom was he called her to tell her that he is buying time on the ministry for his program, and he just wanted to let her know that he was divorced. He wanted to make sure that'd be okay for him to still have a show on Daystar. And my mom said that's when they started talking, and ever since then their relationship blossomed. So again, that's just troubling that he knew about Daystar and what it had to offer, and it's like he got the prize he was looking for.
He just wanted a television ministry, and this is a fact. Whenever my dad had the memorial service in December of 2021, he is on record saying that he was the first person to see the casket open up, and he made a crass remark saying he wanted to make sure that my dad was still there.
He told the whole Daystar staff that.
He was there, he was aware, and then 2 months after the memorial service, he files for divorce of his wife of over 30 years. And then, as soon as the divorce is finalized in May of 2021, they're texting regularly.
Red flag number 6, fractured family relationship. Joni's decision to marry Doug has sparked serious discord within the Lamb family. Both Jonathan and Susie Lamb have repeatedly expressed their concerns, yet Joni continues to defend Doug, even at the cost of her relationship with her children. This raises a crucial question. If the marriage were truly ordained by God, would it be tearing the family apart instead of drawing them closer together?
The truth is, my mother and I had a really good relationship, and she literally told me that I trust you with my life, to the point that when my father passed, she literally added me to every single one of her bank accounts and credit cards. That's how much trust she had in me.
Wow.
So that's the way it was. Not until Doug came into the picture was there a real rift, because we just stood firm on our convictions, and she had the attitude that I heard from God, God told me to marry this man, and therefore if you don't believe that God told me to marry this man, we can't do ministry together. So it was like a breaking point.
If your spouse suddenly dies and you very quickly move on to date somebody else, and you marry a year later, and you try to force your children to accept it, it is only going to help the root of bitterness, hurt, and resentment grow like a ragweed. If you truly believe the Lord brought the two of you together, if you truly believe this marriage is from God, that is for God then to deal with that with your children on the matter. It's not for you to browbeat them into accepting a new spouse. It's not for you to force them, to strong on them when they're still trying to go through the grieving process of getting over a very sudden and tragic death of their father. You win them over with your actions, not your words. If that marriage came from the Lord, that's up for the Lord to deal with your children. You continue to pray and be about your business that you are supposed to be doing with the Lord, not getting so involved in forcing your kids to accept something that they may in time, but they're not ready to accept. And I'm going to tell you that if you want to have a party in the room counseling or mediating between you and your son, the man that's been lining his pockets with money from Daystar for a very long time is probably not the person to put in that room. An impartial party, impartial, that has no skin in the game, is where you are going to get the most productive conversations happening.
Red flag number 7, inconsistent stance on divorce. Joni Lamb has consistently spoken out against divorce, even choosing to publicly reconcile with Marcus Lamb in 2010 after his infidelity, emphasizing her belief in the biblical principle that God hates divorce. Yet now, she has married a man whose ex-wife reportedly sought to restore their marriage. This apparent shift in conviction has left many wondering why Joni would now support what she once firmly opposed.
But yeah, my point was, wouldn't it be the best thing to get back with Lisa? And then I said, if you move forward with this marriage, Mom, how do we lose the ability to preach the uncompromised truth of the Word of God, that God is not for divorce? He wants people to reconcile and to get back and restore marriages. And it's so sad because of this whole relationship. My mother went on this campaign with different podcasters and different guests on the show. And now instead of talking about restoring marriages, it's almost like she's doing her best to justify divorce and to talk about how that's okay a lot of times. There's a clip of her, going on with Tim Ross and talking about that. So it's just sad that that's now the narrative that she's pushing. And, before, back when she was married to my father, she was probably one of the strongest people when it came to her conviction and believing and fighting for marriage and doing whatever it takes. And obviously my mother endured horrible affair by my father, I think for about a 7-year period. And she had every right to leave the marriage, in that case biblically, because of the adultery. And she made the decision to fight for her marriage, and that was so honorable. And obviously God blessed her many times over for that decision. So it's just sad to see that that's where she was then, and to now it's sad to see how she's changed her stance on that.
directly in her eye, and I said, Joni, your own children are saying at this point that you've destroyed this man's marriage.
Yeah.
Are you willing to give up 40 years of faithfulness to God and your testimony, everything for this one man? She looked me dead in the eyes and she said, yes.
They say that she abandoned him. That's his excuse, that his ex-wife abandoned him. The ex-wife is running his business. The ex-wife, from his own lips, we have other recordings where he said she was a faithful, good wife, a great mother for 30-something years, maybe 36, I'm not exactly sure, but over 30 years. And this part is the sad part. She was begging him to stay and not leave her. So when I hear one woman is begging this man to stay, a wife of his youth, and another woman saying, no, he's mine, the breaking started to happen where I was like, God, I've never disobeyed before, but this is not matching up to your word. So then I start talking to pastors and I look into scripture and Matthew, right there, Matthew 19:9. And I tell you this, whoever divorces his wife and marries someone else commits adultery unless his wife has been unfaithful. His wife was not unfaithful.
The growing concerns surrounding Joni Lamb's marriage to Doug Weiss are both significant and deeply troubling for many within the faith community. From the timing of the relationship to the visible disunity it has caused within the Lamb family, each red flag raises serious questions that deserve prayerful and careful consideration. Joni has long stood as a public voice for biblical values, particularly regarding the sanctity of marriage. Her decision to stay with Marcus Lamb after his infidelity was rooted in her strong conviction that marriage is a sacred covenant and that, according to Scripture, God hates divorce. That's what makes this recent turn of events so difficult to understand. Why would someone who once championed marital restoration now marry a divorced man, especially when credible reports suggest his former wife wanted to reconcile? Beyond the personal implications, this decision has created division within Joni's own family. Jonathan and Susie Lamb, key figures in the ministry, have expressed ongoing concern about Doug's presence and influence. Despite their repeated attempts to voice those concerns, Joni has remained steadfast in her defense of Doug, even at the risk of straining relationships with her own children. This disunity raises a deeper theological question. If a marriage is truly ordained by God, shouldn't it be marked by peace, unity, and affirmation from those closest to us? Furthermore, Doug Weiss's well-known ambition to have a television platform adds another layer of complexity. His marriage to Joni, the owner of Daystar Television Network, significantly advances that possibility. Could this union be more about opportunity than obedience? It's a question many are asking, and one that must be weighed with spiritual discernment. Marriage, especially in ministry, carries great influence and responsibility. It should reflect not just personal desires, but the heart and character of God, marked by humility, integrity, and a commitment to biblical truth. So now we ask you, what do you think? Does Joni Lamb's marriage to Doug Weiss reflect God's will, or do these concerns point to deeper issues that need to be addressed? We invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this discussion meaningful, please like, share, and subscribe for more thoughtful, faith-based conversations.